What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Breaker Debates. I'm Narik Chase, and I have with me Lakeesha, who we're deciding to change her name to MadamB, so that way she has her own little online personality. So, you think that's a good idea, Miss MadamB?
Yes, thank you very much, Narek.
All right then, Madam B. We gonna go ahead and go with that. Now this video, I know we said we was gonna make a second part to it, but we didn't. Kept we started deviating with me doing more podcasts with Ken. But this is the second part of our Friday the 13th series discussion. And y'all just enjoy the first one, so we're just gonna go ahead and follow it up with the second one. Of course, things that we missed out on, maybe perhaps characters, story plots, critiques, commentary. What we like, what we didn't like, top tens, any other thing we just could think of right now. We're just gonna add it to that discussion. So without further ado, let's talk Friday the 13th. So, out of curiosity, Miss Madam B, I would like to know which movie is your personal favorite.
Out of the Jason series, um, I would have to say it might be. I think I'm more than one, but I'm leaning more toward Jason X right now. I would say Freddy versus Jason and Jason X,
Totally sorry about that, guys.
but yeah, I'm thinking Jason X right now is probably one of my favorites because would you like me to tell them why?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Um, it puts him in a different, of course, time zone, different environment. Um, well, he adapted very quickly. All he had to do was uh, find a machete or whatever weapon he liked to use. It was different. And then the remake, he got made over, especially like that part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I also like that too. 'Cause I know there was at one point in our previous discussion, I believe, where I was like, should they change the formula up? Jason, a group of people come to a certain area, Jason's there, he begins killing them. And I think they did a great job with some of the later films because they did try to change that up a bit. We have, Jason, you know, takes Manhattan, put him in a totally different location. We had the Jason where he had to fight the girl with the psychic abilities, so that was pretty interesting. Jason X, that was, as you said, a new space environment. That did a great, not only just space, a futuristic environment.
Mm-hmm.
That did a great job of also, fleshing out and changing up the formula a bit. The Jason Goes to Hell, that was a really, really different movie. And of course, Freddy versus Jason, that changed up the formula completely too because now Jason has another antagonist he has to deal with.
Yes.
So there is that. For the most part, I'm kind of torn because I did like the remake. I also liked how Jason lives, how that kind of turned out a bit, even though I was kind of sketchy on the story and everything. Um, but it's probably out of all of them, Jason X. No, 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 no. I'm gonna go back and actually say the reboot, as well as Freddy versus Jason. On your bed. Um, Freddy versus Jason, and probably the reboot. Those are probably my favorites.
Okay, what did you like about the reboot?
I can say I like the fact that he was more of a hunter. In the other ones, he was a hunter, but I like that he was actually a hunter in this one. Like he set traps. Like when they came to Crystal Lake or the area that they was in, you can tell he'd been there. He knew the layout of the land. He set up traps. He knew how to lure people in, and he knew a way around. I like that sophisticated system of his. And
Mm-hmm.
all the previous films, you don't really get that same level of sophistication. You don't see where he stays at like that. I mean, in one or two of the films, you actually did kind of see his layer, but I did like the fact that what was it? You seen it? He's again set up traps. You saw how sophisticated his planning was. You saw his layer, and also I think this is another telling moment for the character, and it also signifies the machete as much as his mask. Was a sequence where he had captured the girl by this time. She's trying to get out, and he goes and sits down at that wheel thing and starts sharpening his blade. Like like that. I love that about it. That says so much about that character. And most of the other films, he ends up acquiring the machete after every movie he acquires the machete to some extent. But this movie actually, that machete was just as a part of him as the mask and as the mask had become. So I did like that aspect of that.
Okay.
Which movie you honestly think had like the best storyline? I think we might have addressed this, but I'm not sure if we remember it or not. Hey, Mom.
The best storyline about him, or just about
Just about in general.
the
Like I
whole
said,
movie? Okay. That's kind of hard to say for me,
yeah.
because the beginning of each movie, okay, we had some of them where, okay, the how the beginning of each movie is like it didn't, like the scene didn't belong there, people didn't belong there in that movie or in that scene. I can't say at this point, like the maybe the reboot.
Yeah.
Sorry it took so long.
No, it's all right. I sitting here thinking about it myself. I think probably the most standout storyline to me, as far as his character is concerned, I like Jason Goes to Hell. I think that was a pretty interesting story. I'm not too much into the execution of it. It was an interesting idea. People. Jason was getting into people with the hearts. They devoured his heart, and he was like spreading it through like that. I thought it was an interesting idea, but it's kind of unrealistic.
Yeah, the fact that he had a half sister.
Yeah, we talked about that last time. That should have been like a distant cousin or something like that. It should not have been a half sister.
Right. So that kind of, now that you go back and think about it, kind of threw it off.
And like I said, Jason X was a pretty interesting story where these people these from the future end up coming across this woman frozen, that was frozen, and Jason happened to be with her, and then they brought both the bodies onto the ship, and Jason ends up thawing out and he come to life.
Did they say how they captured him?
From the way that the movie presented itself, the military had to get involved, and that's how they caught him. That's how they could stop him, because they tried to kill him, and they said they tried to burn him, shoot him. They tried all these different methods of killing him, but they never could.
Going back to Jason Goes to Hell, they blew him up, but still wasn't able to stop him. So for the all they did was they had his heart, which was how he done them things throughout the movie. But to capture him whole without nobody getting killed, or so they said, and keep him tied up like that, and then he got out.
I need to go back over that. Go back and watch the beginning of Jason X and see exactly how he escaped. Because he was in a facility. He was
chained down.
Yeah.
I remember the movie. He was chained down. Um, I guess they kept him sedated.
No, he can't keep him sedated. I mean, I guess they just had him there. But like I said, I'm trying to figure out how did he escape.
He he killed the dude and put him in his place. He
But I'm trying to figure out
the
how.
chains. I don't know how he got out of the chains, but to be there all that time, I don't know how long they had him, but to be there all that time, then he escaped. Is like, how do they catch him in the first place? I mean, he regenerates himself. Um, he's superhuman.
I mean, you
So
can catch him. I mean, I can understand the catching part. Maybe the part I can understand them trying to catch him, and I can understand them attempting to kill him and he won't die. Even though to some extent I think they could have tried to like dismemberment. But
okay,
outside of that,
but to catch him, they had to sedate, and that's the only way.
no, you can catch him by force. Catch him by force. You
How,
could even the strongest thing can be overcome with with the right amount of numbers. You know what I mean? Like say if they took 20 guys to in fact yes, to give you a better example. In Underworld Evolution, the werewolf, the first werewolf, it took like 20 vampires to chain him down. Even though he killed a couple of them, he took like 20 of them. In the movie The Wolverine, when the ninjas was trying to subdue Wolverine, it took like 20 of them, 20 or
mm-hmm.
30 of them. If you have the right numbers and the right equipment and weaponry and stuff, you can stop him. Might necessarily can't kill him, but you can stop him. And like in the Underworld Evolution, to go back to that, they put that werewolf inside of this crypt thing, and he couldn't get out. He was in there for like a few hundred years, and the whole time I think he was awake.
Okay, well, let's just say they did catch him by force.
Hell, run him over with a tank or something.
But something had to. I don't know whether maybe I'm remembering from another movie. But I think that he was. Um, they was actually so with the right amount and with so much anesthesia you could hold him there unless it was starting to wear off. I think it was starting to wear off, and that's how he got out and killed the man and put him in his place.
And I remember there was one instance with the anesthesia thing. I don't think it was anesthesia, but it was something else. Freddy versus Jason, when Freddy put Jason to sleep, he impaled him with the two needles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was medicine to make him sleep.
yeah.
With the right amount, yeah, you can knock him out. So that's probably what they had to do when they caught him.
But it's like weird. It's like, well, how can? I mean, he's not alive, so it shouldn't affect him like that. I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, it was an interesting. It's a good idea, but it's like one of those ideas you can't really try to think on it too hard because like,
Right,
oh,
because
that's not really.
he's superhuman now. He's
Mm-hmm.
the supernatural being.
He pulling people's hearts out with just one thrust of his fist. I mean, honestly, what is the most? In fact, do you think, like with the Freddy versus Jason, do you think like the Friday the 13th universe can exist with? I'm just getting all these messages, everybody on my phone. Do you think that the Friday the 13th series can exist side by side with any more other, horror based universes? Like, of course, we had the Nightmare on Elm Street, and Nightmare on Elm Street actually made sense with the movies together. It felt like, yeah, this happens on this side of the world, this part of this world, this happened this part of the world, and they came together, and it actually made for a really interesting story, and it did fit.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think it could possibly crossover to other genres. Like, say if you had crossover between like Michael Myers or something like that.
I probably knew you were gonna say that.
I mean, Jason was essentially built off of Michael Myers.
So, what to have them two come together? Or
I don't. It's
not come together,
yeah.
but what, face off?
Nah, they don't need to because honestly, Jason will wipe the floor with Michael. Michael, despite all of his stuff that he does, he's still human. Jason ain't, not anymore.
Michael has a lot of anger and evil, which makes him hard to kill. That's Plus he, when you think you killed him, it's actually somebody else.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
um,
Tell that to Jamie Lee Curtis, who found out the hard way.
uh, I really to actually have him with another one. I can't think of anybody right now.
Because I remember there was an idea a while back called Halloween, and I was like, "What's Halloween?" And on the cover, you see half of Pinhead and the other half Michael Myers. So it was like, Pinhead's going to face off against Michael Myers. It's easy Pinhead's going to kill Michael Myers because, again, Michael Myers is not supernatural. He's just a man who has the crazy ability to keep coming back through all the stuff that he's endured and everything. But it's not like he's actually superhuman. So there is that. I don't know if we touched on this. I think we might have, but I'm not sure. I wanted to talk about like the character design of Jason. Which one did you like? Like the character design, everything down from the physical decaying look to him. It's even possibly the deformed look when he was alive, all the way to the clothing, the mask.
Let me see.
Yeah.
There,
Because I'm really when it comes to the character design, I think we did mention this a bit. But we'll go right back into it. Let's talk about. I did like the Jason Takes Manhattan look, and I also look. I did like the. I did like the one. I think it was Jason 8. 8. What was it? Jason Goes to Hell is 9. Okay, the one part 8. I believe 8's the one with the girl with the psychic powers. That Jason I did like because he was just like he looked cool. The decayed look. And Jason Takes Manhattan, he had like this slimy look to the character, and I thought that was pretty cool. I also really appreciated the Freddy versus Jason version of Jason, where his skin was like rotted black. I don't know if you noticed that. And he had like long, scraggly hair.
mm-hmm.
So I like that about the character too. And I did like the rugged look of the Jason X. I did like that one. Like before he got turned into cool cybernetic nanobite Jason. So I like that design too. But also again, I love the reboot version of Jason as well. So I like those character designs.
Well, can't disagree with you. I mean, I like him. Over time, he has he can't just, stay like he was in the first one. And in the first one, I think he was a little bit too skinny. But, over time, they was still working on it. But I think when they did Jason Goes to Hell, I like that. Especially I like the part when he it was almost toward the end. He was being reborn out of the dead woman, and he
yeah, he was born out of her.
He burst up through the floor.
That was pretty cool.
That was a really good, and he was just like, how he stood there. And
he was bulky on that one. He was really bulky.
He was muscular.
Bulky. He looked like Batista.
No, it was muscular, and you know that. Anyway, quit interrupting. Um, how they, how they had it, centered on his face, and he was, you know, I always said when I watched this, um, he was trying to, get in the moment, and then the black man, he said, "Get the dagger," and I was like, man, they interrupted his moment.
I don't know. Did you notice that in his look on that one, that the mask seemed to kind of sink into his skin, or it seemed like his head was like a little bit swollen?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's like when a body's in water, takes on the water and it kind of
all that it's sucked and makes it shrinks.
Yeah, I was like, he got a big head, big gooey head, big gooey head, Mama Jamma. I did like that. And it's like, which one do you like him better? Cause like I did like he was bulky in that movie. Like he can whoop some tail. He don't like he can fight. He can just whoop some tail. But yeah, I do you like him kind of bulky, or do you like him as more lean?
I did not like him. Well, of course, it was out. I keep saying this, but when I first started watching Jason, it was not it wasn't the first one. It was Jason Goes to Hell. I started kind of late, and I always remember Jason as Kane Hodder. Kane Hodder is like a muscular, and I'm like, okay, that's how Jason should be. And then when I did watch the whole series, I thought it was just Kane Hodder, but no, it was different versions, different actors that played Jason Voorhees. But he was either too lean or just was like, I don't know, just skinny.
So basically, I know you're gonna go with this in the versions where it's him as a regular person. Most of the time, he was very lean. But when he becomes a bit more supernatural, he seemed to be a little bit more filled out. Or maybe it's just the progression of the films that he did become a bit more filled out. To say,
Yeah.
Okay. So which one do you think is more iconic? Do you think the sack is more iconic, or do you think the mask itself is more iconic? Now the mask does look cool, but which one do you think is more scarier? Man running at you with the sack, or a man running at you with a hockey mask?
Well, now sometimes when I see a hockey mask, I sometimes think of Jason. I really think that the hockey mask, of course, the hockey mask is more iconic. He didn't. How long did he wear the sack?
He wore it for the first movie. Not the first movie, but the first movie it was in, I believe.
Because you notice, like, was it the girl with the supernatural powers? She she split it, cut it off his face, or
yeah, it was like getting tighter and tighter.
Yeah, and it popped off his face, and you know how he just kept finding them, finding hockey mask in each movie,
And that's why I'm like, in terms of that aspect of it, it does feel like they shoehorned it in a bit, because every movie had the mask. Now again, in Jason Takes Manhattan, he had the mask on because in the previous movie, I think Jason Lives is the one where the dude tied the thing around his neck and it drug him down, so he had the mask on. But then in Jason Takes Manhattan, he still had the mask on as when they attacked. Like, that makes sense. But it's like every movie he found a different mask.
I thought he got mask from that boy that was on the boat when he killed him.
No, Was it? You
Yeah,
know what?
because he did that boy and that girl. The boy was trying to scare the girl. He had a hockey mask and
But I thought he had the mask on when he was in the water.
I don't think so.
Or maybe it was both. I think he was in the water with the mask on because he was like just like laying there,
So why would he?
and like they brought the mask up again. I'm not sure. It's like it's really confusing.
But the hockey mask is more iconic than the sack. Just like um, Michael Myers mask. Uh,
But if you think about it, it's like Michael Myers had the mask, but not every movie he kept finding a different mask. Like, where are all these masks coming from, man? Who buys masks like this?
I don't know.
But that's what I'm saying. But he actually just had the mask.
Michael Myers, he come around Halloween, go to the store. By then he was sometimes they just have the mask. When he was a child, um, they just had the mask, and he put it on. Right now, people think that's how Michael Myers really look. Is that white in the face and all that with the hair, but his hair is actually Michael Myers' hair is actually pretty long. Yeah.
I'm like I said, I'm a big on the fence about it because I do like the hockey mask, but you can't keep pulling a hockey mask out like every movie if it doesn't make sense for him to have the mask. Because I want you to go. It goes back to what I was saying when we was talking about this in the first part about how all the characters, all they talked about was Camp Crystal Lake. They talked about nothing else outside of it. And then it goes back because I remember that boy did have that hockey mask on that boat. And if you think about it, why did he have a hockey mask on that boat? Like there was no reason for him to have
Okay,
it.
well by then, in Jason Takes Manhattan, everybody was talking about it. They had the mask in the stores. They actually knew what Jason looked like. So he became a kind of like celebrity. So they had the mask in the stores. He probably bought it to scare his girlfriend.
You know what I think the reason why he had it? Because the script wanted to sit there and focus on nothing but Jason. Like, that's one thing I didn't like. Instead of the people having their issues and stuff, like you going to the lake with your woman on a boat. I ain't finna sit there and be talking about no Jason. That's crazy. But that's one thing I never liked about any of the movies. All they talk about is everything that happens at Camp Crystal Lake.
Well, they was actually talking about Jason on that boat. Well, he was.
Yeah, it's like, dang. Every movie they do the exact same thing. If you mention it one time, fine, but don't mention at the beginning of the movie about the murders and stuff and about Jason. And then later on, yeah, people are at dinner, and then they start talking about Jason and stuff at the dinner table, and then you're sitting there washing dishes, and you're still talking about Jason. Ooh, what if Jason could be washing dishes with us? And then you laying in bed next to your boo or whatever, and you still joking about Jason. That's all they ever do in the movie. They don't say, well, I was thinking about going to college here, and since I've been spending this whole summer, I'm going to spend this last summer doing this with you guys. Then I'm going to go off and head to this new college or something. Fine. Make the characters interesting, give us some depth with the characters. But most of the characters are just cannon fodder.
Yeah, the one was which one about the girl, the boy was in Tommy when he was grown up.
Yeah, it's Jason Lives, and then there's the one with when the kids and stuff were at the
the other where they actually had the kids at the camp.
Yeah,
like in all the other ones, no kids. Basically, just a bunch of teenagers doing the dirty, smoking, and talking about Jason.
That's all they talked about. That's what got on my nerves. The girl did not know Tommy from the hole in the wall, but all she did was not only think about the dude, but she kept talking about what he said the entire movie.
Right, could have been some crazy drunk her father picked up on the side of the street. They didn't space it out enough. They didn't. And all of a sudden, what? Tommy, what, did he escape or did she come get him?
She came and got him, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe so.
And then she let him drive her car. No.
Oh, this goes back to the stories. I want to go back a little back in depth with that because we touched on it. Remember in the one movie where we had the family? It was the mom, the daughter, and Tommy.
Mm-hmm. When Tommy was a little boy.
Yeah. Now that was a good story, and I remember I brought up a point of the movie should have been Jason stalking his family and how they would dealing with it. That would make for a very compelling, a very suspenseful, and tension-filled story with characters you could like and grow to care about, with this antagonistic force that was just coming for them. That's a great story. I like the idea for that story. It goes back to the one we were just talking about, where we had the daughter and we had the sheriff. That dynamic where the daughter is with these group of teens that are getting hunted down by Jason at this camp, I got behind that. The Tommy element shouldn't have been in that movie. It should have been the father, daughter, dysfunctional relationship, and then the movie, Jason comes and allows for some character development between the father and daughter, regardless if the father lives or not. Like that was a great dynamic of a story right there, as well as the one where, I don't care what nobody says. The one story that actually seemed to be the most fit to me, but it failed at actually putting emphasis on the characters, was the one where the guy pretended to be Jason.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one, because the guy was actually using the Jason mythos to exact his revenge. It made sense. So everybody thought it was Jason.
Okay. Did any of them besides where Jason was actually looking for his kin to get reborn? Did any of them besides that? Did he have a reason to be killing them, like a good reason? Besides, not just okay, you're on my property, you're on Camp Crystal Lake, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, that's his whole thing. But one thing that always gets me about it is, Jason was raised in Camp Crystal Lake, and Camp Crystal Lake is his hunting grounds. A lot of the movies take him from that area, but it's like, wouldn't he just go back?
Well, no, he wasn't raised. He drowned. Was supposedly drowned.
But I still don't understand that.
Okay, he drowned at Camp Crystal Lake, so that's where he hunts it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's what they call Jason's hometown. We don't actually know where he was born at, do we?
I think there, in that Camp Crystal Lake setting. What gets me is that's his stomping grounds, but it's like they never actually just say that's it, like his stomping grounds. Like, where is it? Where's his limit at? Where does he draw the line at? Like, they don't never establish that. They don't say, well, if you come within like a mile of this lake, he's going to come get you. But if you're outside of that mile, he's not going to mess with you. When do they establish that? Okay, occasionally he ventures out and kill. And if you think about it, the movies are always introducing new people that have been in that area for a while, and then he just comes and kill them. It's like, well, shouldn't he been killed them?
Right, like was like it had a house like near the lake.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been there how long, and you ain't spotted him, or he ain't seen you. Yep, so it's a lot.
Yeah, they got the one. It was another. It was another movie with a camp, and in fact, I think this is the one with that family of three, because remember they was talking about not venturing off. They were like, "all yes, that was it." It was the family of three, and remember the girl knew some of those teenagers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, well, wouldn't Jason have technically went after them already before this movie? Because they weren't at Camp Crystal Lake, but they were near it. But he was venturing out of camp. He had to have ventured out of Camp Crystal Lake to this place because that's where he started killing people. So like, well, shouldn't they already be technically dead then before this movie happened? Because if he's staying there, there should be nobody. If he's staying there, there should be nobody staying there at Camp Crystal Lake like at all. Because he would have been already killed everybody. But the movies kind of make it seem like there's a different area that he hadn't ventured into, and then when the movie picks up, that's when he first venturing there. Like this dude's been killing people for like you know what I'm saying, decades.
Well, I was
Everybody,
trying to,
everybody around the lake should be wiped out.
I was like trying to see. Okay, you said Crystal Lake was his hunting ground. He drowned there. Um, where was he born?
I don't know. I
See, they should have made it to where at least some of them where um Michael Myers, he had a hometown. That's where he kept going back to. Freddy, Elm Street. That's where he kept going back to. Freddy stayed on Elm Street. The kids there, all there, staying on Elm Street.
see, but the thing about it is, like, Jason's mom stayed near that lake somewhere.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I was reading up on her, and they said she stayed near the lake, near the camp. So I'm thinking that's where he was holed up at. That's where he stays at.
Okay, they should have probably made one.
They should have made a movie that gave exposition on him, like on him growing up or something.
Um, it's probably been done too many times, but you know how somebody moved into the house on Elm Street. Freddie get him. Somebody moved into Michael Myers' old house. They didn't show where Jason actually lived, his house, or So,
They kind of did, cause it was one where the girl ran into his house, and that's when she seen like a room full of dead bodies, and she seen the mom's head propped up on
that
like
was
a
a
table.
cabin.
Yeah, I think that's where he stayed.
No, I'm talking about his house, where he grew up in until he drowned.
I think that's where he literally stayed at.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think he stayed in like a house, like a 2-story or nothing like that. Maybe it was a cabin. 'Cause if you think about it, the reboot did the same thing. His mom's head was in this in the wall of this house, and I'm thinking maybe that's their house. But like I said, they should have made some kind of movie, which is why I did like the remake of Rob Zombie version of Halloween, because you got to know Michael before he went start killing people. You saw how he grew up, the abuse and all of that.
Where his mom's a stripper.
A whore, whatever she was, prostitute. I don't know what she was.
Stripper, and yeah, and
Yeah.
made fun of him.
Yeah, and like that, they should at least make a movie where you get to see him kind of grow up a bit. Give us some exposition on his character before, you know what I'm saying, the abuse that he had to deal with from society because of his deformity, his mother, him witnessing his mother's death, and him possibly growing up in the woods or something. Like that I think would be a compelling story to kind of, again, make him more of the victim, because technically he is the victim. He's a result of, he's a result of pretty much the way society
And
treats him.
that keeps bringing me back to his stepsister. I'm for real, because Jason was how old when they said he drowned?
He was like 10, I think. somewhere around there.
So, was it years later she would have had another child?
Hmm.
Um, because first she was doing the killing, then she got killed. So she would have already had to have um the child before she got killed, which is kind of like, okay, he had a stepsister. You're right. It should have been
Like a distant cousin or
yeah,
something like that.
because stepsister, it didn't really make no sense.
Yeah, they could have did a bit better with that. Like I said, if Mrs. Voorhees had a sister and her sister stayed in like Milwaukee or something like that, and then fine, we can deal with that. But for him to just have like a half sister, you're gonna have to do a bit better job on that. I still don't like that story where he had to have a blood relative to be reborn. Like I still didn't like that. That that kind of threw me off because it was like they was kind of pushing towards the Freddy Krueger thing, which we did get a Freddy Krueger reference with the mask in the sand. Then Freddy hand comes out of the sand and grabs it and pulls it in,
Yeah.
like that. Uh, which I can honestly say, if they didn't have a Jason X, that would have probably been a good tie-in to make the Freddy versus Jason movie.
Okay.
And it lets you know that they were planning for a Freddy versus Jason a long time ago,
Yeah.
just because of that. So that there is that idea of uh, but the story should be picked up on a bit better. But I hope they do come up with another Jason film. I really do. And as I said, in this film, of course, the most recent one, Jason was human. But it'd be kind of nice to see how they can interpret him as a supernatural being. That way, he's kicking all types of tail. But I would love to see a compelling story also with the characters.
Why didn't you like the blood relative thing?
It's a bit much. It's like, how do you kill Jason? That's like one of those moments where you have somebody that's immortal, but you find a way to actually kill him. Because if you blow this dude up, I'm quite sure he's gonna die. There's different types of like immortality. Like you got movies like Underworld, you got movies like Clash of the Titans. The beings are immortal, but there are ways they can die.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in Underworld, you decapitate one of those vampires, they're dead.
It would have been great if we would have seen him being reborn. All we saw was the little thing going up between her legs. So, what? She became him?
I don't know. I would have preferred it better if they removed his heart, his body shut down, and then the whole time his heart is trying to get back to his body. I could have ran with that better than him going up his
Jumping in and out of bodies.
Yeah, I could deal with the jumping out of body in and out of bodies part. Like if somebody say cut his heart out and that'll kill him, fine. But the whole movie he's jumping bodies to bring his heart back into his body. I could have dealt with that better than him flying up his half sister's fupa wagon and then just all of a sudden Jeepers Creeper and Jeepers Creepers and everything. So there's that. It's an interesting concept, but it could have been should have been like a better execution. I just didn't like the whole, and I think it also goes back to the whole. It would have made the half sister thing irrelevant. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's just my opinion on it. Um, but we're reaching the last minute or two of our time here on Break of the Bass. Miss Madam B, MadamB. Is there anything else you'd like to leave off with this conversation?
Just I like the series, and hopefully there's more to come. Maybe with him having another rival. I like want to see him try to go against somebody. I don't know who yet, but somebody.
Bring out another girl that's got telekinesis. I was very fond of that battle. I really was. Oh, and this is another thing I want to bring up. You realize in Jason Takes Manhattan when he actually came out of the subway system and he finally came out into Manhattan, you realize all those people were around him. He didn't start killing them.
I did notice that, and nobody actually stopped to like, what the hell? Nobody actually stopped to actually look at him. Like he was focused on them two.
Like that's what I'm trying to figure out why he was killing everybody else indiscriminately, but for some reason he started being focused on just those two. But that's a conversation for another time. All right, guys, we have reached our last few seconds here on Breaking Debates. Be prepared for our next one. We are just trying to upload these every week. Thank you for stay tuned. Anything else you want to add?
No, none.
All right then, guys. Y'all keep it cool. Y'all keep it safe, and we'll see you guys later.